So much background noise. Good morning. Stacy, Lauren, Mrs. Hildy, Winter Love. There's some of you that I haven't seen here before, or I don't recall. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Stacy. I'm doing a juice cleanse day today. I felt so good after I did the cleanse day on Sunday that I'm going to start to incorporate them Sundays and Wednesdays. Good morning, Lauren. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Shauna. So today I decided green tea instead of black coffee. Good morning, Lori, because you all know how much I love black coffee. Enzo. So yeah, it's celery juice and green tea for 24 hours. Good morning, beautiful. I'm just gonna give it a couple minutes before we get started. It was so hot here yesterday that, and I don't have great circulation in the house, and poor little Penny was just dying. She was sprawled out as flat as a pancake in front of the fan in my bedroom, which was the coolest spot in the house, and she was just roasting. So it gets a little too hot for her little body sometimes. She overheats quickly. Her tiny little 10 pounds. I think she might be 11 pounds now. Well, may as well get started. This morning, I wanted to talk about something. Came up in conversation with an acquaintance of mine, and I don't even call her a friend really, because she's someone I used to work with, a former colleague, and we talk on occasion, but we're not close. We just touch base, we catch up, and we go about our lives. So to me, that's an acquaintance. A friend is someone totally different that I can count on, and in the hard times that person shows up, I show up for them. You know, friendships and acquaintances are different, and I think we often confuse acquaintances for friendships, especially in this day of social media where Facebook is friending somebody and all of a sudden, hey, I know that person, that's my friend. No. So anyway, she reached out to me yesterday because there's a memorial service this coming weekend for someone that was in the industry, a colleague in the industry. He wasn't a friend of mine, but he was a colleague, and I have absolute and utmost respect for him, for the work he's done and who he was as a person. And it's on Saturday evening. So Saturday is June 1st, and it's the World Narcissistic Abuse Awareness Day. So I've already committed this day, aside from getting my winter tires changed over to my summer tires, I've already committed this day to taking in as much of the summit as I can. Now, his memorial service is in the evening. But what triggered me was, and I don't say trigger in a sense where I was like all pissy about it. It just made me think about this one word. Good morning, Lawton. Good morning, Yuri. It just made me think about the word should, because what she said was, well, regardless of what's going on, we should go and pay respect to his memory. Now, whenever, and I've really been working with this word should, because when we use that, it almost encourages guilt if you don't do something. And when we're coming from that place, it's been preconditioned into us from the time that we were little kids. But when we're with a narcissist, we particularly experience the shoulds. Well, you should do this for me because, you should do that because. And what's happening is that we're taking somebody else's idea of what we should be doing and imposing that into our daily life, into our decision making. How many times have you caught yourself saying, well, I should do this, but, and typically that's because it's somebody else's belief system. So her belief system is it's respectful if we go and do this. And we should keep a front. We should keep that face, that show that respect toward the person in this memorial. And what I got triggered with was, I've had enough of my life, people telling me what I should and should not be doing. From the time that we're little kids, don't do that. You shouldn't do that. Don't touch that stove, it's hot. You shouldn't do that. And then you touch it, so you have the experience for yourself, and then if you're smart, you won't touch the stove again. But all of this preconditioning stemming all the way back to our childhood plays into our decision making today. I should go to this. No. I'll decide at the end of my day if I'm going to go. What's going to happen if I don't go? Well, nothing. Nobody's really going to miss me. I haven't been part of that industry for years now. So, and that's the entertainment industry. So I haven't been part of that industry for years. Would it be great if I was able to be there? For sure. But should and shouldn't should never play into my decision making. My decision making should be coming from a place of what's best for me. What do I feel like is going to best be a reflection of myself? What do I feel like is going to be putting my best self forward? So if I spend all day in the summit, the online summit, doing the, for narcissistic abuse, I may or may not be completely drained by the end of it. I may be energized by it. I don't know. But should tells me that whatever I decide for myself isn't the right thing. I should be doing what somebody else thinks I should be doing. Not me. Doing what somebody else's idea is best. That's what shoulds are. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. And it's really important, I think, to identify where our decision making is coming from. Is it coming from a place of preconditioning with our childhood and then the abuse with the narc? If it is, then we've got some work to do. And I don't mean the word should can be imposed in many different aspects. But when it comes to your decision making, if somebody says to you, you should or shouldn't do that, you need to ask yourself, is this my decision? Is this really my decision, or is this coming from a place of somebody else's conditioning? Does that make any sense? I think it makes sense, because when we listen to our parents, even still, well, you shouldn't do that, Trish. I have a lot of people in my life who think they know what's best for me. And these are people who aren't conscious of what's best for themselves. Just people even at the pub where I work part-time. Well, you shouldn't do that because I don't give a flying fuck. I actually don't. I've spent enough time being told what's best for me and never got the opportunity to decide for myself because somebody else always thought that they knew better. Well, because I allowed other people to decide for me with their should'ves and could'ves and shouldn'ts, I didn't get to live into the life that I wanted to have. So I was creating and manifesting from that place of pleasing others. What about what Trish wants? What about what experience I want to have for myself? So I needed to let go of all of those, the weight of the opinion of other people. I don't care. I have respect for this person in our industry. I can pay my respects from wherever I am in the world. It does not mean that I have to do something that I cannot commit to and do not want to commit to because it's not a priority for me right now. My priority is the summit on Saturday. And that's putting myself first. That's what I've never done before. Everything we go through prepares for what we want. And it does. But it's taking that consciousness, the consciousness of what we've gone through, and being able to dissect it and look at it and say, how does this serve my future? Because we also have to be prepared to let go of that which no longer serves us. When we go from surviving to thriving, you can't stay in that survival state if you want to thrive. You have to be able to take that experience and turn it into magic. I'm trying to learn to put myself first. Nadine, this is what my workshop is about. It's really about, because not putting ourselves first in a healthy way is a toxic behavior on our part. And I know that that's hard for some empaths and empathetic people to hear, that we have toxic behaviors. But just because you're spiritually enlightened or you've been enlightened by something doesn't mean that you don't have toxic behaviors. So the workshop that I've put together is about identifying those and learning to set new boundaries and learning how to put yourself first. This is self-respect. This is self-esteem. I've been being selfish since December of last year. And you know, people, the only ones who are going to call it selfish are the ones who are no longer benefiting from you putting them first. Because anyone who truly loves and cares for you is going to appreciate the fact that you are the pitcher and you're filling your cup, whether it's half full or half empty. And that's right, self-care and selfishness, those two things are different. We don't need to be selfless to be loving and caring. We don't need to be selfless in order to give to other people. Because when we're selfless, we're showing other people that we don't matter in the whole equation of everything. This person wants to spend time with me, wants to catch up, wants to, whatever her motives are, that's fine. But it's not a priority for me. Making an appearance is not a priority for me. My self-care is. And I don't know where I'm going to be at the end of attending that summit all day. I don't know. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I don't know. Oh, Lady O says, with my narc, there wasn't even a should or could. He always said no negotiations regarding. And you know what? This is also very true. It's my way or the highway. That's what I was always told. This is a dictatorship. This isn't a democracy. Those are the two things he always said to me. So when you're coming out of an abusive relationship where choice wasn't something that was so freely yours, it's really important to learn how to put yourself first and to learn how to take that responsibility back and that power back and pull it back into yourself. You are not a negotiation. You learn to become a non-negotiable in all of your relationships. In all of them. And it's not my legs falling asleep. It's not saying that you're going to tap out of everything and you're not going to attend events and you're not going to go to family functions and say, well, I don't want to, or this isn't good for me. And it's all in your approach, and it's all from where you're coming from. You don't want to completely tap out of events in your life. We're here to live a life. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Mary. We're here to live a life. But it's doing things that take from us, that are not a priority, just to save face. These are all things that require our attention. So Jackie and Mary, for those who are just joining, we're talking about the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, and how we're told why we should or shouldn't do something. And when we're told that we should or shouldn't, it's because that's somebody else's idea of what they want for us. And coming out of these relationships, you know what? It's important that we learn who we are and what we want, and start making decisions for what's best for us, not for the optics of how it looks to other people. This healing is eye-opening, because when you begin to choose yourself and you begin to make decisions for yourself, you really find out who the people are in your life. And you really learn how your past behaviors have been serving them and not serving you in a healthy way. Because our behaviors that we see as healthy are toxic when we use them to put ourselves last, to become martyrs, and some people do. I'm not saying anyone here is. I'm just saying that some people become martyrs. And it really is, you can be a martyr without being a narcissist. And that is, well, I do this for all these people, and no one ever pays attention. No one ever recognizes. It's really important that we learn to identify these behaviors, so that when we are manifesting our future, it's coming from that healthy place. And this is the workshop. This is the workshop. It's 3 hours together. It's 3 hours like this, but like we're all talking and interacting and seeing each other's face, so that we can build that self-esteem and that self-respect. And when somebody says, well, you should do this, we can identify that that's just their conditioning. We can undo what we've learned. By the time we're 35, our personality is already set. But we can either continue to stay and believe that we cannot change, or we can believe that we are not our circumstances, and we can create whatever feeling we want to have, whatever emotion we want to experience, whatever event we want to experience for ourselves, whatever destiny we want for ourselves. But it comes with doing all of this heavy-duty work. Heavy-duty work, and the breakthroughs are incredible when you have them. It's like, aha! I am in control of my shit. I am all powerful. When you feel that within yourself, you can do so much. The other day you said your body reacts for any wrong thing happens, and eventually puts us in a right way by believing in the instincts. It's true. When we're not listening, our body is responding. Creates itself, it manifests itself as illness and cancer and disease, and then we become terminal. How many people become terminal before they realize that they haven't lived their life? Or now is the time I'm going to start living because I'm going to die. I got news. We're all going to die. So why the hell are we waiting until we're on our deathbeds, or until we're faced with a near-death experience, or until we're diagnosed with a terminal disease? We're all terminal. We are. So we get to choose now whether we want to continue living in the story of the narc. And I see a lot of people here on Instagram who share the story about the narc and keep going back into the story. And I wonder, I'm not judging, I wonder what their life is like for them if they're continually spinning that tail. Because you're going around in circles. Once in a while, I'll recollect something about the narcissist. But I don't want to tell my story that way. I want to be the hero for my own self, who saves my own self. And if I continue to tell the story of the narcissist, he continues to hold power over my life. Actors and musicians, writers, and I know this because I am one, you have to tap into some really intimate places within yourself to tell those stories. And it's either coming from a place of wisdom or it's coming from a place of pain still. Even the last breath you take is past and you don't focus on the last breath. I am not judging anybody's space or anybody's healing path or journey. We're all at a different place. I was once at a place that all I could do was tell the story. All I could do was live in that pain. And it didn't happen overnight, you guys. I had to do this, the things that were the hardest at first, all of a sudden become the easiest. All of a sudden, you don't even have to think about it anymore because you've taken these new things, this new way of thinking and made it a new way of being. So when you're moving along through your life, at first it's uncomfortable when you've got to change something and it's not as easy as somebody just saying, oh, well, change your thoughts. What you think about is what you bring about. Yeah, it's true. But you've got to do the work to get to the place where you move through that discomfort and all of a sudden you're looking back and you're like, holy shit, this is just a new way of being for me. And it really is about holding that highest vision for yourself. Where do you want to be? Do you want to stay stuck in the story? Do you want to stay stuck in the pain? Or do you want to move forward and live into a life that really does require a new version of who you are? And once you transform all this stuff, you'll never be that same person again. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. You change at a cellular level when you begin to change your thought patterns and you begin to change your belief systems. And then you vibrate at a higher frequency where narcs just bounce off you like little flies against a wall. Or a bird trying to get through your really clean windows. Looks good on the inside and they try to get in and boom, and they fall. Imagine, that's what it can be like. Narcs can watch you, but they'll never get in. Baby steps can bring the big change. And you know what? This is entirely true. Some of the things I task clients with seems asinine to them at the beginning. It makes no sense. They don't understand. But when they actually implement them, they do see that this creates massive change. And it is those little things that we think are weird or it feels foreign to us. And it should feel foreign to you because the person you are now, you cannot take that person into the future and expect to have a better life. The person you are now has got to shift, has got to have a different way of thought patterns, a different way of feeling. You just have to. That's not a should, that's a have to. If you want it. And I guess the question is, you've got to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want a life where your circumstances are different? Where you feel better, where you're happier, where you're making decisions based on what's best for you. That's what the work's about. So when somebody tells me what I should and shouldn't do, I don't have to be an asshole about it. But I appreciate your perspective. I appreciate your opinion, but I'm going to do what's best for me. That's it. That's all. Same thing with dieting. Like some people don't believe in fasting. I know from experience that it's when I've done fasting or I've done juice cleanse days, I've lost weight quickly, and my body detoxifies and I feel good and my skin glows and my mind is clear. But there are people who are of the mindset that you need to feed your body 3 square meals a day, or you need to be like a cow and graze constantly on grass. So but what works for one person doesn't work for you. What works for someone doesn't work for everyone. And this is really important to remember when we're healing from a narcissist. There's no one way to heal. You've just got to be willing to when you're ready. I've turned clients away because they're not. Because I actually care about your healing. And I don't care to hear about the story. We are not assholes. We are trying hard to be one. You know what? There's nothing wrong with being an asshole sometimes. It's called boundaries. It's called boundaries. People perceive you as being an asshole. I remember this one girl that I used to go to school with. She ended up becoming my boss when I was at the casino. And we were not fans of each other in school. We were not fans of each other in a place of business either. And we met with such resistance. And she was a micromanager, and because I'm a creative, I cannot be managed. I actually love when I get called an asshole, because it just reminds me that I'm doing the inner work to set boundaries. The whole point is, we all hated her. She was such a bitch. Everything there was no leeway for anything. But she had a solid sense of who she was as far as her boundaries. And she had a job to do, and she wanted to make sure that we got the job done. I learned that was an industry that I loved, but being in corporate wasn't a thing. Oladio says, my skin is again glowing since I'm doing the NARC fasting. It's not just a food fast. It's not just an alcohol fast. It's people fasting. You need to clean your garden, weed your garden, and get toxic people out of your life so that you can identify healthy behaviors in yourself and ones that aren't so healthy, and then turn them around and become healthy. Your whole life changes. Your whole perspective, like everything just feels different. It feels good. Even when you're having a shitty day, it still feels good. Cleansing is so good. Regardless of how you do it, you gotta cleanse in so many ways. Anyway, that girl that I was telling you about, that woman, I reached out to her a few years after I left, and I said, you know what? I have a lot of respect for you. You're not a pushover. People don't like you, and you don't care. But you're living your life for yourself. And I'm apologizing for any way that I met you in our communication together that was not appealing. Because I was a little jerk. I was a jerk. I reverted back to my high school days with her as soon as she became my boss. But it was in that self-acknowledgement that I learned I had a lot to learn from her. I had so much to learn from her. And if I don't have to be as hard as she was, but there are gifts there. Anyway, it's 9:28. We're on the half hour. Today was about shoulds, shouldn'ts. If you're jumping in late, I think this would be one to start and watch again from the beginning. I have posted the workshop for June 22nd. It's 3 hours in the morning. I don't want you to take up an entire day of your weekend. I know how important Saturdays are, but it's 3 hours in the morning where we get down to identifying our inner badass, discovering who that is, looking at the ways that we shortchange ourselves, and be able to set boundaries, understand what it means to earn our own self-respect and build our self-esteem. The link is in the bio where you click and register. I would love to see you guys there. I'd love for all of us to do this together. But today, I'm out into the real world, and I will see you tomorrow morning at our usual jam session. I'm Trish. I'm a narcissistic abuse recovery coach and a big-ass dreamer, and I believe in all of you. I love you guys so much, and I know what you're capable of. I've seen it happen. I've seen transformation with my clients. I am a transformation. You can be too. Holding you all of my highest energy of love and healing always. I love you. Stay badass and go rock the day.